the idea of spring cleaning feels more overwhelming than energizing, then you're in the right place today. And in the spirit of keeping things from being overwhelming, I've decided to break this topic up into two videos. So today I'll talk all about spring cleaning the home, and then next week I'll share some of my springtime cleaning practices for mind and body. In both videos, I'm going to talk about how I've shifted my approach to spring cleaning. So if you join me here, let's take it from being a marathon of scrubbing and organizing to making it a delightful reset and perhaps even an enjoyable experience. So to be able to actually make this shift, I think that it really requires a bit of a mindset shift around spring cleaning in general. I used to think of spring cleaning as just an overwhelming series of chores. And now I tend to look at it more as an opportunity to reassess how my spaces feel and to find more simplicity, and then really just to add beauty to my home, both inside and out. It's really less about checking off a list of socially expected tasks and more about me stepping back and just taking a fresh look at what I see. And when I do this, then I notice that I can be more intentional with the time that I actually have available for making changes that they feel really good to me. The point is it's not about making a Pinterest-worthy, picture-perfect home. Spring cleaning can be more about freshening up your space in a way that truly makes you feel good to be in it. So when you think about what it feels like to feel good in your space, I think it can even help to incorporate a little bit of mindfulness to the practice. So if you've set aside some time for freshening up a particular room, what if, before you even get started, you begin by engaging with your senses? Maybe you start by opening up a window to let in a fresh breeze and the fresh air. Or maybe you turn on some pleasant music, or perhaps you diffuse some essential oils. So whatever is going to feel good to you. And when you do this, you're going to relax, and then suddenly you're going to become fully present and more open to perceive how you really feel in your space. Now, this, I think, is a completely different experience than if you begin with the mindset of going in and attacking the room with a sweeper and a dust cloth and cleaning products in hand. You probably are going to use all of those anyway, but if you've taken the time to kind of set the stage for yourself, you'll probably enjoy the process more. So when it comes to spring cleaning my home, I don't set a schedule, or I don't even make a list anymore of the things that I want to do. Rather, I have begun to just let the process unfold really throughout the beginning of the spring season. I try to tune into what feels like it really needs a deep cleaning or a refresh, and then I focus on that area first. And I really do this by, stepping into the room, looking around, and just noticing what makes me feel most uncomfortable, what irritates me the most, what feels least pleasing to look at. Now, I want to pause here for a minute and let you know that what I did think might be helpful for you is to have a different kind of list, different kind of spring cleaning checklist, one that focuses more on how to approach spring cleaning with more ease. So you'll be able to find the link to that to be able to download that checklist in the description for this video. So when I think about this idea that you can actually enjoy spring cleaning and let the process unfold naturally, I think it actually helps me accomplish more than I would if I was trying to knock out a long list of spring cleaning tasks. And I definitely know I'm enjoying it more that way. Because what typically happens for me is, well, I know there's some large tasks, such as cleaning my windows, that require me to set aside a good chunk of time, maybe, a day or something. There's a lot of other things that I do some extra deep cleaning and refreshing about just while I'm working in that space. So I may pull out a cookbook that I'm about to use and then decide to take a few extra moments to pull them all out and then wipe off that shelf. And at the same time, I'll declutter while I'm doing that. I'll be paying attention to the things that I'm setting aside and really making a point of intentionally considering everything that I'm putting back on the shelf. Thinking about, is this something that I will actually use and, that I really want to keep? If you struggle with the process of decluttering, here's a thought that might resonate with you. What if you reframe that term? What if instead of calling it decluttering, what if instead it just becomes making space for beauty and more ease for you? I had read something the other day that really stuck with me that I think I'll be using myself when it comes to helping decide what things that I want to keep or let go of. It's this concept that we have ownership bias. So in other words, when we already have something, when we already own something, we have a tendency to think that it's more valuable than when we don't. A study was done and it found that when they asked people to put a value on something, they almost always put a higher price tag on what they currently own than what they would consider paying for it. And when I think about this in terms of spring cleaning, I can see asking myself if I would buy the thing that I'm contemplating. And maybe the next question that I ask myself is how useful this thing is and whether or not it adds value in some way to my life, whether it's just something I enjoy looking at even. So here's another great question to ask in the process of letting go of things as well. Does this support the lifestyle that I want to live now? And if the answer to that is no, and I'm still tempted to keep it, then I'm going to try to gently ask myself, well, why? The other thing the past couple of years that I've been very focused on is simplicity. I like to think about simplicity as really creating space for what matters most. Simplicity makes things more organized and easier to find. If you have less things in a given location to sort through, it becomes easier to see what you're looking for more quickly. It can also simply mean that you separate things into different locations, or maybe you start storing them in a way that makes it easier to see everything in that location. One thing that I focus on when I'm trying to process things like this is I try to reduce any duplicates that I have. So some other ways that are practical, that you can increase the simplicity in your home could be to create clutter-free zones. You can decide that there's certain spaces in your home, such as a kitchen counter maybe, or a nightstand, that are areas that you're going to make sure that you clear completely after you're done working in that area. By doing this, it creates some calm as your eyes then and your mind, they kind of have a place to rest. You can also intend to have like a one-touch rule. That's another way to create more simplicity in your home. So for this, when you're putting things away, you would do your best only to touch them one time. As an example of this, when I bring in the mail each day, if at all possible, I do try to go through it immediately, and I'll go ahead and I'll recycle what makes sense to recycle, and I'll file, what I'm going to use later, that type of thing. And then I set aside Kurt's mail for him to do the same, so we don't have a big pile up and stacks of mail all over the kitchen. So one thing that I know can reduce the visual noise in my kitchen, while we're speaking about the kitchen, is to minimize what I have on our refrigerator doors. I'm also looking to see where I can just minimize excess decor or group things, put them in baskets, that type of thing. So I do believe that when your eyes have less to focus on, then your nervous system relaxes more. Not to mention, after a while, you stop seeing the things anyway. I really no longer notice most of the cards that I put on my refrigerator, and I put them there to enjoy them. So I'm thinking if I mix them up and I only have one or two on there, I really think that I'll probably start to pay a little bit more attention to them and probably enjoy them a lot more often than I do now. I think when you begin to remove all of the excess, it really begins to be easier to see the beauty and the essence of what remains. And really, as humans, we're drawn to beauty. Seeing beauty just makes us feel good. So I'm hoping that when I manage to simplify in my spring cleaning process this year, that in doing so, the things that I have that are beautiful will more easily stand out and kind of take a center stage, if you will. As you know, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So that's another thing. You really need to trust yourself that you have the ability to create what looks beautiful to you. You do. For me, this most often ends up being my plants and my flowers, and I often end up moving them around to different locations when I'm doing this kind of a spring reset. The other thing for me is candles. I really lean in on those for beauty in my home. And these days, when I buy things to bring into my home, if it's something that I know is going to sit out and not be, tucked away in a cabinet or a drawer, I really try hard to choose things that are beautiful in their own way. Often these do come with a higher price tag, but I also at the same time really try to purchase things that will last. So maybe in the end, it isn't really that much difference in price. So I hope I've given you a little inspiration for your own spring cleaning this year, so that it doesn't feel exhausting to you, rather that you can make it more of an act of love for yourself and for your home. I do hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and if so, if you'll take just a moment or two to give it a quick thumbs up and to share it with a friend that might find it helpful too. Also, a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button if you would like more intentional living ideas. And I will see you next week when I talk about spring cleaning for the mind and body.